wonderful news in my opinion. A Confederate statue is being taken down in Pittsboro, North Carolina. It's a Confederate monument that has been in front of the North Carolina courthouse for 112 years. Early Wednesday, they taken it down despite a bunch of protests. It's a statue that's been there 112 years actually. Most of these statues though have been there mainly during the mainly since the Civil Rights Movement. I know there is a large number of Confederate statues that was set up during the Civil Rights Movement as a big FU to black people trying to obtain various civil rights. Protesters here that was for it. What'd they say? Let me remember. A person by the name of Robert Butler, a supporter of the monument, said that a statue's never hurt a soul, just like a grave memorial. Do they hurt anybody? Which, in my opinion, is a stupid argument, trying to be pro-Confederate statue. It's not that the statue has hurt anybody, it's the meaning behind it, which is trying to hero worship a person who was trying to fight, or not was trying, did fought for the right to own people, which is what a lot of the supporters of these statues understand but don't care about. The fact that the Confederates were all about pro-slavery. It's they like to try to say it wasn't about slavery, it was about states' rights, which the states wanted the right to own black people, which no one has the right to. So it's great that more and more states and stuff are taking down these monuments. The Pittsboro city said that what's the name of it? Give me 1 second. Okay, so the statue was donated by the Winnie Davis chapter of the United Daughters of the Confederacy, and the judge ruled that the group did not give sufficient evidence supporting the monument's continued presence in front of the courthouse, which, in order to keep it there and maintained, the taxpayers would all have to, foot a bill to pay to keep it maintained. I would be highly against that myself, though the statue and pedestal will be transported to a safe location where they will be preserved and stored until the Winn-Dixie or the Winn-Davis chapter finds a more appropriate location to place them, the county said in a news release. A few dozen people gathered to watch the removal after the county announced late Tuesday that it was about to happen. Though over the debate of removing this statue, a fight erupted Saturday between pro-monument demonstrators and counter-protesters, leading to the arrest of 11 people. Truly, in my opinion, anybody that support these kinds of statues should be fought tooth and nail against, because they're basically just, they're racist people who seek to memorialize racist people who wanted slavery, and to hero worship that is extremely fucked up, in my opinion. You got with the uprise of white nationalists and the such during the Trump administration, and the idea that you shouldn't be able to punch Nazis. It's time to go back to making racist people afraid to speak out again. Enough with this idea that, it's not okay to, fight these types of people. When these types of people seek to either kill off or remove anybody that they deem unfit, that have a darker skin tone than they do, it's enough is enough. It's time to keep moving forward. And if that means fighting these people so that they don't speak up anymore, I see no issue with that. Let's watch this.
Amy Cutler here in downtown Pittsboro, where as you can see behind me, crews have started to remove that Confederate monument. It has been the center of some intense controversy over the last few weeks and months. Every Saturday, people for and against this monument have been gathering and protesting. There have been some fights, some arrests as part of this. So at this point, they are now taking this Confederate monument down. You can see they've got the equipment in place. It was a surprise move, the Pittsboro deciding pretty quickly that it was going to do this, and they have now taken action. Just past the monument, I can see some Confederate monument supporters that have gathered on that side. On the side that we're at, we're surrounded by police, and they have moved in that heavy equipment as they work to take this monument down. We're going to be out here. We're going to continue to assess what's going on, and we will, of course, keep you posted both on air and online. In Pittsboro, I'm Amy Cutler.
So, let's just make racist people afraid again. It's just no point in remembering people who fought to try to keep slavery in place, especially in these states where there's a heavy population of black people. Seeing these statues would just piss me off. I was in New Orleans and I saw the Robert E. Lee statue, and I'm like, wow, they still want to have this statue up. A guy who led the Confederacy, a guy who just wanted to keep black people as non-human subjects. It's just crazy. It's crazy how there's still so many people thinking that type of mentality is okay. And if it was up to those people, black people would still be slaves to them. Anybody that's non-white would be their slaves because they see them as less than human. They see them as nothing than workhorses and the such. And it's time to start living in the we're in the 22nd century, and to leave all that stuff behind. In my opinion, schools need to really stop teaching, or at least heavily emphasize that the Confederate States were pro-slavery, were pro-slavery. Their constitutions of all the Confederate States was about keeping slavery intact. It's all enshrined in their constitutions that they've written for themselves during that time, and so that everybody knows that these states were fighting for slavery and not states' rights, which a lot of people are trying to continually say it's not they weren't fighting for slavery, they were fighting for their rights. Nope. I mean, you can say they were fighting for their rights, the right to keep people as slaves. Great let's just keep removing all these statues. We can keep them, put them in a museum, and showcase the extreme racism of the United States. But let's not have taxpayers pay for these statues to stay where they're at. We can enshrine better people, people that actually stood for the ideals of the United States. Freedom for everybody. Equal rights and all that type of stuff. Not these racist slave drivers that were looking to, keep black people as, their pets. It's just sickening and disgusting.